Hi there, everyone. This is Jed, and for today I'll be speaking about the topic of vulnerability, of self exposure, and having some self reflection as we explore ourselves in the context of relationships. When we think about vulnerability, we think about kind of being open and authentic and not shielding or hiding any aspect of who we actually are, what we're actually thinking and feeling. This is something that many of us realize is a lot more challenging than it sounds, at least at the surface. So if we look at our lives and anyone's life, we can see that as human beings, we tend to naturally shield and protect ourselves to try to conform in some way to receive validation or approval, or to feel safe, to not experience some form of rejection, some form of humiliation, whatever the external social environment could potentially trigger. And this, of course, starts from when we're an infant, essentially. We're always seeking to be safe, to be accepted, and so on. So we build up certain patterns depending on our life experience and how we respond to it. So to some extent, we're all not completely open, we're not completely vulnerable, we're not fully exposing our so-called authentic self. We're maintaining some form of facade or image that we're presenting to people around us. It's helpful to reflect on this and to observe ourselves within any environment, social environment that is, or any individual type relationship. We can see where we're feeling not secure, being vulnerable, where some part of us is maintaining some form of restriction or constriction, or some form of shield or facade, something that's meant to get other people to see us in a manner that we think will keep us safe or secure or protected, versus just completely being authentic, exposing whatever your thoughts and feelings are, whatever your values, your priorities are, etc. There are some people that we encounter in our social environment who are actually very accepting of us, no matter how much or how fully, let's say, we present our true authentic self. So there are people that are able to be fully unconditionally loving, you could say, fully accepting of you, who aren't so eager to judge or condemn you or criticize you or any of that. They're just there to be present with you, to acknowledge you, to let you know that it's okay to be yourself. You don't have to present any particular image to them. They're just going to appreciate you for being your unique self. So there are some people you might encounter who are pretty well equipped to do that, more so than the average at least. And those people playing that role can help you to some extent in feeling more comfortable with being yourself, with being vulnerable, with exposing anything about yourself. Then there's the other polarity, people who are very critical, who really have the impulse to judge, to condemn, to put others down, to look for faults. So you may encounter some of those people in your life, and they're the ones who often trigger you to constrict yourself, to be on guard, to try to shift or, in a sense, alter your presentation to fit what will appease others rather than to just please yourself. So we can experience both of those kinds of people in our life, and depending on our environment, we might shift from being more vulnerable to less vulnerable and vice versa. So we often present different aspects of who we are depending on our social environment, on the people that are around us. So you may appear to be one personality or character around certain people, and your personality or character may appear to shift when you're around other people, since you are adapting to that social environment. And the more that we are in any particular type of social environment, the more that we're maintaining that particular pattern of adaptation, and the more ingrained that way of being may become within us. So you want to really reflect on that if you'd like to shift or transform. If you want to become more comfortable with being more open and vulnerable, you can realize that there may be some situations, some contexts where it can serve a purpose to hold up that facade or have a shield around yourself. It may seem quite useful in certain times or certain environments, but maintaining that indefinitely throughout your life, through all of your environments or surroundings, will end up becoming counterproductive. So you can learn to be more flexible or fluid, in a sense, in terms of maintaining a boundary or shield versus being completely vulnerable and open and just letting out who you are in a more authentic way. I hope that this discussion kind of gives some insight into how each of us may be relating to our social surroundings, how we're reacting or responding with different degrees of vulnerability, of being able to authentically expose who we are, what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what we value, etc. For those that are interested in more about holistic health and personal growth topics, I invite you to visit my website, and that's phinsights.com, phinsights.com. For now, I want to wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.